A recent research study revealed that over the course of our lifetime, the average Brit spends approximately £144,000 on impulse purchases. Yes, £144,000 on impulse purchases. The same report goes on to explain that the average adult in the UK spends £200 on impulse purchases every single month as well. So with that being said, we want to make our money grow. We want to make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck. And in order to do that, we need to ensure that we're combating those impulse purchases and not spending money that we don't have on unnecessary things. So with that being said, in this video, what I want to do is really share practical tools, practical things that you can apply in the area of your finances so that you're not spending money that you don't have, and that you're not wasting money and squandering money, and you're giving your money the opportunity to work for you and put money in your pocket for the future. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tolu, and on this channel I share content all around personal finance, budgeting, frugal living, and I show you how to live your best life on a budget. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking to you about really practical steps and really practical things that you can do in the area of your spending so that you don't spend money that you don't have, you don't overexert yourself or live above your means. So what I really want you to do is answer this question for me honestly. If today was your last payday, so if this was the last paycheck that you were going to receive, how long will you be able to survive and pay your bills and be able to live? That is a daunting question when you actually sit back and answer that question. So I know for a lot of us, when we're in that position, it's quite scary to think, oh my gosh, if I wasn't going to get paid tomorrow, if my employer for any reason decided not to pay me, I will be in big trouble. I would have to draw for the credit card. I would have to do X, Y, Z. So if you said anything under 3 months, or you said that you'll be in trouble after a month, then it's really time to really take a good hard look at your financial situation and think, what can I do to change this? What can I do to actually change my financial position? Because that living paycheck to paycheck cycle can be very dangerous. You can go from just about getting by and managing one day to losing your job and it all goes left. I mean, I'll use myself for an example. I was made redundant after being my employer for 10 years. I never in a million years would have imagined that would have happened to me, but thank God we're in a position whereby we had an emergency fund saved, so it didn't impact us that much. But it could have been a lot worse. 2-3 years ago, if this same situation had occurred, mate, it would have been a wrap for us. We would have been in big trouble, because even back then we were struggling financially, and that was even with both of us working. So yeah, it just goes to show it's not about how much money you earn, it's about how much of that money you actually keep. 2-3 years ago, we were earning double what we're earning now, and we were in such a bad financial situation. So how have we had almost a 50% pay cut and yet we're in a stronger financial position? I think it's just because we became a lot more responsible with our money, and we became a lot more intentional with our money, how we spent it and how we saved it. But that's enough of an intro. Let me get into the actual reason that you clicked on this video, and that was to share the practical steps and practical things that you can do in order to stop spending money that you don't have. The first thing you need is clear financial goals. So if you don't have a clear plan for your money, then your money is not going to know what to do. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So if you don't have a plan for your money, then guess what? You're going to fail with your money. Also, by having these well thought out goals and well thought out plans, it helps you actually stay the course and stay focus on your goals and focus on your financial plan. So when you have a plan that you're working towards and you have a long-term goal and a long-term vision in mind, you're less likely to make these impulse purchases because you're more focused on the bigger picture. So when you know that there's a bigger picture that you're working towards, you're less likely to spend money frivolously, because you know that, no, this money is doing X, Y, and Z for me, and this money is getting me this step closer to my future goals and my future plans. If you haven't done so already, I would definitely recommend setting yourself financial goals, short term, medium term and long term. Having clear financial goals and having a clear financial plan makes all the difference. Smart people budget.
Smart people budget!
But yeah, smart people actually have a plan for their money. They create a budget and they stick to it. So that is one way you can stop spending money you don't have, is by creating a budget and actually sticking to it. When you're going to the grocery store, have a list, have a shopping list, and have a clear list of things that you need to buy before you get to the store, so that when you get to the store, you're not just picking things up on a whim. You know, you see an offer over there on the aisle, you pick it up. You see another offer over there, you pick that up. You see another offer down there, you're like, yeah, I gotta get that too. And then all these things that they put by the till are just, you know, calling your attention and making you want to pick it up and buy and add it to your shopping basket. A shop that should have cost you £50 ends up costing you £75, all because you didn't actually plan that shopping trip. So I definitely recommend creating a shopping list and sticking to that shopping list, so knowing exactly what it is you want to buy when you hit the shops before you get there, so that you're not just buying things on a whim and squandering money unnecessarily. So in order to stop spending money that you don't have, I think it's very important to actually identify and understand what your triggers are. Like, what are your trigger points? What is it that makes you spend money the way you spend money? Are you a social shopper? Are you an emotional shopper? Are you a I'm just bored, I have nothing to do, let me go online type shopper? I think it's really important to pay attention to your spending behavior over a period of time. Identify and observe when it is that you're triggered to spend money, when it is that you spend more, and when it is that you spend less. So with me, for example, I cannot go shopping on an empty stomach. Like, no matter how strict I am, if I have a list and all the rest of it, if I hit Aldi and I go to the shops and I haven't eaten before I went, I'm going to pick stuff off the shelf that I have no business buying and put in my trolley, just so that I can have something to eat while I'm doing my shopping trip. So even by the time I've got to the till to pay, I've already eaten like half a packet of brioche breads, just because I was hungry and I didn't eat before I left my house. So I definitely know that that's a pattern of behavior that I have when I go shopping, which is why if I'm going shopping, I'll make sure I've eaten something or at least had a smoothie before I do so. When I was a lot younger, I would definitely say I was a social shopper. So I remember in uni, in the first year, when everyone would get their student loan and it was like Freshers Week, so we'd all head off to the shopping centre, hit Topshop, hit H&M, and literally just blow our student loans, just because that is what everyone else was doing. So that's what I did. So I knew that about myself, that I would just go shopping with my friends and spend money just because everybody else is spending money. So it was a social activity, it was a fun thing to do. So if that is you and you're a social shopper, then maybe you need to identify that as your trigger and know that I'm going to sit this trip out with you guys. I'm not going to come, because if I come, I'm going to spend money that I have no business spending. So if you know that's you, then yeah, just don't go with them. Like, just stay in your house and just watch Netflix and chill. So I know that this is quite a controversial statement I'm about to make, but I'm going to make it anyway. Cash is king. A lot of research that has been conducted has shown and proved that there's less of an emotional connection when you're spending plastic versus when you're actually spending cash. When you're just swiping left, swiping right, swiping here, swiping there, you're not really paying that much attention to the money that's actually leaving your hand and the exchange that's actually being made. You don't feel it as much. There's not much of a, you know, like, it's different. Versus when it's actually hard cash, like giving somebody £100 for a pair of shoes cash versus just swiping your card and £100 being taken out of your account. It's a different feeling, it's a different connection. So where you can pay cash as opposed to using your card, and you'll find that you spend a lot less money than you ordinarily would if you were using your card. Where there's a will, there's a frugal way. That's definitely a rule that my family lives by. Like, with me, I'm always trying to find a frugal way to do things. I'm always trying to find a cheaper way of doing things. So if there's something that I want to do, I always think, can I do this myself, or is there a cheaper alternative? I'm not just going to go with the first offer. I'm going to find a cheaper alternative way of purchasing and acquiring that same good. So I'll give a quick example of my pallet corner sofa. If you haven't watched the video, I'll link it in the description bar below, and in that video you can see the corner sofa that I made. With that sofa, I really wanted the Rattan Garden set, which costs about £1,000. I really wanted one of those, but I wasn't prepared to pay £1,000 for it at the time, and I was like, nah, do you know what, there must be a cheaper way of getting this done. So I went on Pinterest, I love Pinterest, and I started looking at alternative ways of creating garden furniture on a budget. And I came across the whole pallet concept of having pallet sofas. So I started researching, and my husband was able to get me all these pallets, and we made the pallet corner sofa, which you see here. That was done on a budget. I think the whole sofa cost me £200, material, everything included. So that's an £800 saving just by me trying to find a frugal way. And I think that can be applied in all areas of life. There's always a frugal way of doing things. Okay, so I'll tell you another quick story. So we went to a wedding a couple of years ago, and the wedding was in South Kensington. If you know anything about London, South Kensington is a very expensive area. So parking outside the church venue was about I want to say £7-8 an hour. So we paid for 2 hours of parking, and the wedding ended up starting late, so we ended up having to put even more money on the parking. So in total we paid like £25 to £30 for parking that day. Okay, so we had a couple of friends who were also at the same wedding, but they had a more frugal mindset. So instead of them paying for parking, what they did is they knocked on neighbours' doors. So people who live right next door to the church, they knocked on their doors and asked if they could park on their drive. After knocking on a couple of doors, somebody said yes and let them park on the drive for free. So while we've paid £25 for parking, they've paid zero. So that was a great example of finding a frugal way. Some may think that's a bit extreme and call them cheapskates. I would say that that is frugal, and I would say that that's great. I wish I had actually thought of doing that. Like, brilliant idea. But yeah, it just goes to show, where there's a will, there's a frugal way. So just always be mindful of that when it comes to parting with your money. Always think, is there a way I can get this for cheaper, or is there a way I could do this in a more cost-effective way? One thing that will stop you spending money that you don't have is to calculate how much time that this thing costs you. So not how much money, but how much time does this actual thing cost you? So what is your hourly wage, and is this thing worth your hourly wage? So rather than thinking, this item costs me £50, think, this thing cost me 2 hours of my life. If this item, for example, costs you £50 and you get paid £25 an hour, you paying £50 for those pairs of shoes cost you 2 hours of your life. Was it worth 2 hours of your life? You have to answer that question. If you ask yourself that question more often when you're shopping, suddenly things that you buy on impulse, you start to think twice about buying them, because when you actually realize how much that thing is costing you, then you realize, yeah, it's £50, but no, it's not just £50, that's 2 hours of my life. When you put it in perspective like that, it makes you think twice about these unnecessary purchases. Listen, you have to do whatever you can do to stop yourself spending money. One of the things that you can do to help yourself is unsubscribe from emails. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe from all those brands that you love. As much as you love hearing from them and you love the discounts that they're sending to you, they are not your friends, and they just want your money, and they're going to do everything that they can, everything in their powers, to make you spend money that you don't need to be spending. So that 20% discount that they're offering you, and you're thinking, wow, that's so nice of them, what a bargain, what an amazing offer, how amazing is H&M, how amazing is Topshop. No, they just want your money. They just want to do whatever it takes to get your coin. So don't fall for it. Unsubscribe from those emails, and then you won't even see those promotions. So then the temptation has been removed and eliminated. And while you're doing that, actually, in addition to unsubscribing from their newsletters, go ahead and unfollow them on social media as well. Don't follow all these brands on social media, because all you're doing is just feeding your appetite for spending unnecessarily. Another thing that you can do to stop spending money that you don't have is apply the 72-hour rule. The 72-hour rule is basically give yourself 72 hours to consider a purchase before making it. So rather than just shopping on impulse, seeing something you want and just buying it, just give yourself that time. Just step away from the item, step away from that purchase decision. Consider, actually, do I really need this thing? Do I really want this thing? Is this thing really going to add that much value to my life? And if the answer to that question is no, or if you're not sure, step away from it for 3 days. Give yourself that time to consider the cost, consider the purchase properly. And then if you still need to buy it, or you still want to buy it, then come back at a later date and buy it. Where you can, apply that 72-hour rule in everything. And what you'll find is a lot of these purchases that you thought you really wanted in the moment are less attractive once you slept on it. One thing that you could do to stop yourself from making these impulse purchases is by writing down whatever your financial goal is on a piece of paper and putting it in your purse and wallet. So every time you open your purse and wallet and you're about to go and make a purchase for something that you don't need, that is not going to help you with your financial goal, you're going to see that goal written in black and white staring back at you, and hopefully that will make you think twice before making that purchase. Because if you open a paper and you're seeing £10,000, that's the debt that you're trying to pay off, or £20,000, that's the amount you're trying to save for your house, you're going to think twice before making that £50 purchase, because you know that £50 can go towards the goal that you're seeing written in black and white on a paper staring back at you. And also, while you're at it, actually write it down and stick it on your wall, stick it everywhere, put it on your screensaver on your phone, like literally put the reminders everywhere, so that you're constantly reminded of what you're trying to work toward, and that way you will stop going for that low-hanging fruit, because you'll be focused on achieving the goal of your big picture, big ticket item. Give yourself an allowance. I think that is one thing that will definitely help you to stop spending money you don't have. If you give yourself that freedom to spend within parameters, then you're less likely to then go over that. So whether it's £100, £500, whatever that budget is that you want to set yourself for you to spend judgmentless, that's not even a word, without judgment, guilt-free money, that's what you need to assign yourself every single month. Give yourself that money that is free for you to spend and enjoy, because at the end of the day, life is too short not to enjoy it, but within boundaries and within reason and within moderation. So if you have any tips or tricks or any ideas or suggestions of different ways that we can stop spending money that we don't have, sharing is caring. Leave it in the comment section below so that we can help each other grow, help each other level up financially and increase our financial education. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Those are all the tips that I have for you. I hope you found them interesting. If you did enjoy that, you know what to do. Give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and I will see you on my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.